Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing you the commentary, Forza 5. Doing a little follow-up now with the Eagle Talon that I went from a kind of average, calculated, easy to drive, easy to turn type car to more of a speed car. And I'm kind of doing this backwards. I went ahead and ran the laps and now I'm going to add an intro to it. But what you're going to see, I won't show you the leaderboard just yet. But let's say the results are positive. So instead of showing you the results, let's go ahead and show you what I did. So just to kind of go through the parts, I left the arrow on both the front and the back. The tires is where we did something a little bit different. So I went from the heaviest tire to a lighter tire. So I think it lost about 22 pounds. So the overall weight of my car went down quite a bit. I think I left the full width. Yeah, there we go. I did the upgraded rim size on both of them, on front and the back, so they're fully upgraded. Now, this is where things changed a little bit. I went down to the actual width of the tire that came with it. So I went from here all the way down to there. That again reduced weight, helped my acceleration, reduced my handling a little bit. You can see that my handling went from 5.0 to 4.9 just by looking at the tires there. But when I do that, I get better acceleration, I get better speed. So I lost those. The other thing that I did is I went from this compound, I went from the sport to the street, and I really needed that 25 PI to give myself some more horsepower. So that was a pretty major change as well. Overall, these are all going to be raced still, no changes there. And then in the brakes, the only change that I had here is I took the roll cage off. And you can see my launch numbers go way up, launch numbers and acceleration, and handling goes down a little bit, but we're sacrificing some handling for speed. So I did that as well. The weight loss is still on there for the car. So we're good there. Now here's where you're going to see a lot of major changes. So I had a couple of performance parts on the tuning one, and that was just to get it up to the 500, C500. Now you're going to see a lot more. So I went with the sport intake. I went with the sport fuel system. I don't believe that one has any. I went with the race muffler. And that did a couple of things. That reduced the weight and then also increased horsepower. Nothing there. Nothing there. And nothing down until I get to the turbo. So here's where it gets fairly important. So the turbo model, what I did is you can see there's a pretty big difference in the horsepower range. So one, I gained 17 horsepower, which is good. And overall I gained speed, and I gained acceleration, and I gained launch. Those are the numbers that I'm looking at increasing. I'm not looking to increase a lot of weight. It does add a little bit of weight, unfortunately. But I need that extra horsepower. And then also, if you see the power line, you can see the difference there. You can see that my power line runs a little bit better. It's at that 17 horsepower, and my torque does as well. And that really helps my acceleration. I also added this to get up to the 500. That added a little bit of weight, but it added some horsepower as well. Not a great deal, but again, it helped out a little bit with the top speed, the acceleration, and the launch. And then this was also to fill. I have the street flywheel on as well. So a lot of these performance parts I didn't have before because I had tire compound, I had tire width, and I had the roll cage on as well. So I had to give up some of those things to get a little more horsepower. Overall, the car did get lighter, and it did gain horsepower, so my horsepower ratio changed quite a bit. So if I just show you this, 266 horsepower, 270 pounds of torque, and 2,500 pounds overall weight. And that helped quite a bit. Going through the tune as well, and I don't know why those tires keep going up, but those should be 29. I had to actually change my gearing ratio a little bit because I had higher horsepower and I was doing a red line in 6th gear because you saw my speed go from like 144, 145 to over 150 on that downhill. And I had to adjust for that as well. I straightened out the toe a little bit and I lowered the caster. So I'm at 4.8 now on the caster. I left the roll bars along. I probably could stiffen those up a little bit more. You're still hearing a little bit of understeer squeal from the tires, and I can fix that with a little bit of stiffer front roll bar. I'm not too concerned about it right now, but if I really try to tweak it and get my times way down, I'll work on that some more. No big change here. Again, same thing. I could fix that understeer squeal a little bit there, and that'd help me out, even with the braking a little bit. On the dampening, I reduced the bump stiffness down to 1.0. This is something that isn't really necessary within the game. So I just make those minimal almost for every single car that I drive. It just depends on the model, but you can play with that as well. The aero, I reduced it all the way down so it's a faster car. So I have minimal downforce. And the braking I played with a little bit because I was sliding out a little bit. I actually increased it. I was at 47. I went up to 48. And then I've been playing with the brake force. I can probably lower that a little bit since I'm not getting the traction that I got before. Still doing a little bit of sliding with the back end. So that'd be a number I need to play with a little bit more as well. With the higher horsepower, this is the key part with the all-wheel drive. And actually this would be for any car, is to make sure that you change these numbers and bring them down a little bit. The car isn't overly high horsepower, so this one hasn't been a huge number, but I did reduce that one as well just to make note of that. So with that being said, I'm going to cut this over into the lapping that I did, and we'll see what the results are on that. Thanks a lot for listening, guys, and hang on just for a second, and I'll get this clipped over. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome back. What I'm doing here is I'm racing the car that was just above me after setting the baseline with the handling Talon. And now I've basically taken some of those performance parts, some of the handling parts off. And, well actually, I'll show you guys later. I reduced some of the other parts that was helping it handle really well. And then I added some speed parts, quite a few speed parts. So before we were going down this hill, we were running at 144, I think. As you can see, my top speed is way higher now at 152 than what it was before. The braking is going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm not handling quite as well. But the speed overall makes up for it pretty well. This particular track, there's a lot of turns to it, but there's a lot of speed turns to it, so you get through the turns pretty fast. What really slows you down is the downhills, and this uphill right here. I was going like about 112 to 112 before. Now you can see I'm up to 115. I think I can make passes at 116, 117. Had to change my gearing to make sure all this horsepower could be used. Handling's a lot more difficult. The turning's a little bit more difficult. I have to drive better. So what's going to happen overall is you're going to see me drive and get better times sometimes and probably get worse times other times. So 140.9's up there to beat, and I think we're going to beat that pretty well. Yep, 140.7. That was my first full-time lap with this car against the times there. So you can see I'm almost a second faster than what I was before, just from the exchange of parts and a little bit of tuning. I really didn't do a whole lot of tuning, but I will show you the tuning differences that I have between them. I missed that turn again. And that's the problem, is once you miss a turn, then you've killed some of your momentum, some of your speed. And we're going to be a half second slower this time. So last time I was running everything within about a tenth, and now I'm kind of hit or miss depending on how I make some of these turns that set up for my speed runs. I'm working on getting that braking down a little bit better with my new lack of traction. But where I'm really making up a lot of speed is in this area right here. I wasn't going nearly this fast. I was probably going about 110. And then up this hill, I'm going a lot faster than what I was doing before. I was looking at my speed, so I didn't make that turn very well. That's alright. We'll run a couple more laps here. And that's what's going to happen when you got these higher speed, less handling cars. A lot of these turns are fairly challenging now. I mean, I have to be right on to set up for the next one or the next straightaway. So I've gone from a very easy to drive car to a car that's a little more erratic. but I have a lot more potential to it. I can do a lot better track times. Now, also, if you were to throw other cars on the track, so let's say we're playing in career mode or we're playing multiplayer, I'm going to be a lot faster now than what I was before, because I can get in front of people, and because I can't quite turn as well, let's say if I had my handling car, then I would kind of be blocking them a little bit. They wouldn't be able to take their turn as fast. So with me being out front, that's where I want to be when I'm playing with other players or playing multiplayer or playing in career mode with the other AIs. It's really important. You're going to see me probably pass this car down its downhill because I just have a lot more acceleration, a lot more speed, and then he'll catch me again in the braking turning zone. See, now you know, in that case I would have been in front of him for that turn, and then he would have had to really drive really well to get around me. And like I said, I'm not being very consistent with my laps, but I'm definitely a lot faster in these long straightaways and these long turns than what I was before, which is where I'm going to gain most of my time at. So far I've gained about 0.8. What I'd like to try to do is maybe run one more lap, see if I can get this below 140, and that should put us in the top 500 like I was talking about. And then with additional tunes, that probably will get us into the top 400. What I found, I went through the leaderboard, and what I was going to try to do is try to pull up another Eagle Talon. What I found is there was not any Eagle Talons in the top 500. So this Eagle Talon that you're watching right now is actually the highest ranked Eagle Talon there is on this track. That goes to show you this car isn't exactly an overall strong car on the leaderboard. So again, I'm going to be a little slower through the turns. Braking's going to be a little bit harsher. But let's say we're playing multiplayer. I have the ability to pass this car in a straightaway that makes it a lot easier to pass them than in a turn. And then you'll see that I can get in the way in the turns of them, and they can't pass me in the straightaways. It's like I'm running another plus time here. Let me see if I can get this. I think this next turn I kind of botched on my other speed turn, so I'm going to try to... Yeah, I kind of botched it again, but see if we can carry some speed through here this time. Should, yeah, get into my fifth gear a little earlier. This one could be a problem too. I gotta keep turning. There we go. I was a little worried I was gonna hit that wall again. You see, I'm carrying a lot more speed up this hill. You know, 4 miles an hour up this hill is long. It takes a long time to get up that hill, I think. So if I'm 4 miles an hour faster than my other car or somebody else, I'm gonna pull away, or I'm gonna be able to catch up a lot on that hill. So we can do a better job with this turn this time. Kind of missed the downshift there, but. Let's see if we can get it under 140. This is my last lap for right now, and I'll tune a little bit more and see if we can make it even easier to get under there. And we made it. 139.994. So let me finish that up. I'll show you guys where it ends up in the standings. So I mean, that was only about 5 laps with that. I really need some time behind it to get a little bit better with it. But you can see I've gone from a potential of almost always being 141 to now potentially having a really good lap at 140. And again, that makes me at an advantage in a multiplayer game, a career game. I can accelerate off the line in a game that starts from start, get ahead of people, and then I can stay in front of people or pass them in an easy way, like on a straightaway. So I'm just going to show you real quick what my standings are. See if we got in that top 500. I think it is. It'll be really close, I think. Oh, really close. So I didn't quite make it. I am 536th. But I did make it under the 140 mark, so we've made up about a whole second. So I'm going to go back and tune a little bit more, see if I can put another performance part on that. This might be about all I can get out of an Eagle Talon. Maybe I just picked the wrong car to kind of demonstrate for you guys. But you can see the performance and the time difference between where I was at with the calculator, making it handle, and then letting some of that handling go and putting performance parts on there. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll catch you later.